Good evening. Welcome back to our Spooky Scary Saturdays. This week we went into a good classic here for anyone who's a fan of Alfred Hitchcock. The Birds was the movie of the week. Before we go on and hop on or fly on into that, if you are new here, welcome. My name is Kristen. I do beauty related, spooky related videos here on YouTube as well as Instagram. Go ahead, do yourself a favor, hit that subscribe and that bell icon to be notified when I upload new videos. I will be uploading a Spooky Scary Saturday every Saturday heading up to Halloween. So let's go ahead and roll into it. Made in 1963 by huge horror director Alfred Hitchcock, The Birds is loosely based on a 1952 story of the same name. It focuses on a series of sudden and unexplained violent bird attacks on the people in California. I just remember my parents telling me the story of them watching the birds, so it is a film that it's not terribly graphic because especially my mom can watch it and it's not bothering her but so much, but I do remember them telling me about some of the scenes in it and how it terrified them so much. For those who are not familiar with the plot of The Birds, Melanie Daniels meets Mitch Brenner in a San Francisco pet store and decides to follow him home. She brings with her the gift of 2 lovebirds, and they strike up a romance. One day, birds start attacking children at Mitch's sister's birthday party. A huge assault starts on the town by the attacking birds, and it just sort of continues from there, and there's definitely a lot of just crazy sort of over the top because, it's such a simple and almost ridiculous plot, but done in a very menacing and believable way. Alfred Hitchcock's really good about that. So that is the story of The Birds that we already know. Let's jump into some things that you might not. The ASPCA was on set the entire film shoot, there to kind of take care, and mend the birds. This is the only one of Alfred Hitchcock's film to not have the end title card, a picture of that, at the end of the movie. He wanted the audience to feel that because of the nature of this film, it could continue and it could happen to you very easily. Birds could still be attacking. There was an alternate ending to the film that Hitchcock wanted to shoot but was eventually talked out of it. Hitchcock originally wanted the ending to include a town on fire, another bird attack as the main characters try to get to their car and leave, and then a final wide panoramic shot of the Golden Gate Bridge covered by the birds. You originally think that Tippi Hedren, the actress, the main character, is acting in the attic scene. There was no acting. That was true terror, assured by Alfred Hitchcock personally that mechanical birds were being used in the attic. On the first take, she walked into an attic filled with live birds which were flying loose and also would be flung at her by prop men. Over the course of the 5 days that it took for them to shoot this one scene, live gulls, ravens, and crows were thrown at the actress until she ultimately was, skin torn, just attacked by these birds, on her cheeks, near her eye. at which point she was hospitalized for a week. A lot of people are still very mad with Hitchcock on how he handled that filmmaking with the main actress. It's very barbaric or abusive, which, I can't really agree with that. I think there's now laws in place that probably weren't at the time about acting labor laws and safety for actors, actresses while on set, because, these things can happen and also can go into insurance policies and all sort of things like that. In an attempt to keep the birds from flying off roofs and gutters, the production designer tried putting magnets on the birds' claws to hold them onto the metal gutters. It didn't work. The birds only flipped upside down when they tried to. When the head trainer of the birds later reflected on the experience and making of the movie, he admitted that the birds used in that film could never be released or kept as pets because they were ultimately trained to attack. And that would not be good for anyone. It was the third work and story by one particular author that I cannot say the name because I'm going to unfortunately butcher it, that Hitchcock had adapted for film. One Raven in particular strongly disliked lead actor Rod Taylor. Like everyone else in the film, Rod Taylor's character, Mitch Brenner, had to withstand a barrage of bird attacks. One particular bird really had it in for Taylor. There was a captive raven named Archie who seemingly went out of his way to attack the actor, even when the cameras weren't rolling. Hitchcock and his dog make a cameo in the movie at the very beginning, as you see our main character entering into a bird shop. Well, just sort of a shop, it looks like from the outside. You see Hitchcock and its dog coming out. Apparently, a made-for-TV sequel came out in 1994, so a year right after I was born. The Birds 2 Land's End premiered on Showtime on March 14th, 1994, more than 30 years after the original film debuted in theaters. The original lead actress makes an appearance in this low-budget sequel, but instead of representing her old role as Melanie, she's cast as an entirely new character named Helen. Unlike the original film, which took place in California, Bodega Bay, the setting of this installment is a fictional island on the East Coast. Inevitably, though, both her and the director were both so dissatisfied with the end product. The director actually went under a false name in the opening credits because he just wasn't so crazy about being responsible for it. It's absolutely horrible, lead actress said. It embarrasses me horribly, quoted by her as well. So apparently it's not really great, so I'm glad I have not checked that out. Like I mentioned earlier, my full-on opinion of it is, it was very much one of these nostalgic kind of films in a way, because I would think about it in the perspective of it's one of those movies that my parents can watch, sort of like Jaws. I feel like I dove into it because of their interest, which spiked my interest. And I will say I love Alfred Hitchcock because he always does a great job in this and Psycho, where he sets up a story of telling you one thing and you think you're headed down one way, but then all of a sudden these crazy things start happening and they're just kind of thrown on you, and then all of a sudden that old plot doesn't really matter at all. You're really captivated by this new plot and impending doom, and he's the only one who can do that. So that's my movie talk and opinion, and I will see you all next week for another spooky, scary Saturday.